Hey gang, I thought I'd show you something a little different. I probably have talked about the Model A, and I doubt that I've done a video on it at all that I can think of. But this is a 1931 Model A two-door, and they called it a two-door because it has two doors, but they spelled it T-U-D-O-R. They kind of had a play on words. But this car belongs to my grandfather, and I received it in August of 2005, and I started restoring it in January of 2006. Now, I did make a video on this car. Actually, I made a really long video on this car using the camcorder, and I have like 2 hours of video of the entire teardown, rebuild, and the eventual driving of the car. The goal was to restore the car from my grandfather, basically, and then to that end, there was a heritage parade in my little hometown that I grew up in, and so the goal was to get the car done in time and have them ride in the car and my dad drive the car. And so that happened. I finished the car in August of 2007. And they did get to go for their ride. And since both have passed, so the car has a lot of meaning to me. And I just want to show you one of my personal cars. And there's been a ton of work done to this car. And the car basically, we used it last year as a photo prop for our son's wedding, and that was last August. And the car hasn't been driven since. And part of that problem was the fan belt had broken, and these cars had a unique fan belt on them. It's very wide, and so I had to replace the fan belt. So that's just kind of just something that annoyed me and I had to deal with. But I also ended up having to replace the battery, and that's something else that I've done today as well. But just to give you an overview, the car, when I got it, and I'll post pictures of the car as I received it, but the car it had black bumpers. It was missing the headlights. There was a lot of stuff. Just the fenders were all beat up. I mean, they were really, really bad, as these old cars were. That's how that's what happened to them. They got beat up. But these are the original fenders. I completely formed them back into shape. I probably have 40 to 60 hours just in each fender, just getting the shape right. And of course, they're dusty right now. It's been sitting in the home garage. As you can see, there's a tribute to my grandfather, Pap's 31A, because I called him Pap, and it's his car. So everything that's been worked on includes the roof panels here. All 4 of the roof panels had to be replaced. It's got all new wood on the inside, and this is how they were. This is as per the original design. It had a wood structure, chicken wire, and then this batting material. And then originally this is now vinyl, this material, but it was kind of a, I don't know, Naugahyde or something. It was something strange they used in the 30s. So all that has obviously been replaced, but I had to replace all 4 of these upper panels because they were rotted out. And so, this is a new panel. This is a new panel. Believe it or not, there's a split seam that runs right through here, and then it comes down and it comes up through here and goes across the top. I might be able to see it on the inside. Yeah, you can see some of the welds I did right there. I had to section it a lot to make it fit right. The replacement pieces aren't nearly as perfect as the original pieces. Along with that, I kept everything as original as I could, other than I converted it to 12 volts so that it's more streetable. I did buy a new steering wheel, but then after receiving it and thinking about it, I kept the original, because not only did my grandfather use this steering wheel, but so did my dad. My dad drove this car in high school, and he and my mom went on their first date in this car. So a lot of family history and sentimental value. As you can see, here's where the battery sits, and the floor is all plywood. Each one of that's a section there, and then there would be a section here. There's another one underneath the seats, and so on and so forth. These seats are not original, of course. These are out of like a GMC or Chevy minivan that they had in the late 90s, early 90s, whatever. But they fit and they did what they're supposed to do as far as function. There's one of the floor pieces. I did add stainless taillights. I did add stainless bumpers, and this is a turn signal kit that it just bolts on. There's nothing permanent, and this is the turn signal thing. When you push these buttons, it'll make it beep and also make your lights flash. A lot of really cool and unique things about these cars. It had a push-out windshield. That was your air conditioning. The air would basically come in under the cowl, and this is nothing but a deflector. As far as the dash goes, this does nothing. Your whole all the air would come in, hit this backside, and then rotate and blow down on your legs. So that's all that does. It's just an air deflector. Your little gauge cluster attached to what is the fuel tank has a float gauge to show your actual fuel, of course your speedometer, a little amp gauge, and your ignition switch, which just turned on power to the car. Down here you have, if you look, that button up there, that's connected directly to your starter. That's a gas pedal right there, the silver one, which actually there's a rubber pad that goes on it. And then that is a dead pedal, and that's meant to just prop your foot on when you're driving. It is a 3-speed manual, and it has manual brakes, which means there's no hydraulics whatsoever. It acts like kind of like a go-kart. When you step on the brake pedal, a bunch of stuff moves. I can show you that. You can see that. I step on that pedal, and that rod moves. Let's see if I can show you the rest of it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a swing arm underneath there that makes all these rods move, and that's what puts pressure on your brakes. So it does have a regular clutch like any car would, but it also has some unique things. This is your turn signals. I'm sorry, this is your headlight switch. So you flip it once for low beam, twice for high. That's your horn. This is your timing. You can advance and retard the timing from inside the car. And this is a throttle like on a tractor, so you can actually crank it up and be cruising down the road. It'd be like cruise control, only it doesn't shut off when you hit the brakes. Over here on this side, that knob right there, that is your choke. You pull that out for your choke function, and you can actually tune the carburetor a little bit with that knob. I'll show you that. This is that rod, and there it is connected to your carburetor. When you pull on a rod, it rotates this cam down here, and that actuates your choke. Very simple. There's a coil, kind of a distribution box type of thing. That's where it gets its power and pushes it out. I did convert it to a points, a modern 12-volt points system. And what else? Not much else on this side. All the sheet metal on the car otherwise is original. There you see the 12-volt alternator. And there's your starter, and that silver rod I said, that's where you actually push on that rod, and it makes there's no solenoid, it's just a switch. When you push on it, it makes it activate the starter. And then these are those two rods for your timing. One goes to the distributor, and the other one goes through a series of arms over to the carburetor. So anyway, I've been wanting to share this car for a while, and since I've been neglecting finishing up some things, and I was able to get in underneath and change this battery. I figured that was a good time to show the little detail stuff that you wouldn't normally see. But again, it's a very cool car. I like driving it. I actually have taken places, and one time I went to Lowe's, and an old man was there, and he saw it, and he wanted to go for a ride, so I took him for a ride. But it's a cool car, and again, I just thought I'd share the video with you while I had everything opened up and I could show you some things. So hope you enjoyed it, and once again, thanks for watching. I figured since I was showing you some things and I was going over some details, I'm going to show you a few more things that I just kind of make these cars unique. From the outside, you'll see the doors, they actually overlap. Now, they didn't make these flush until 32, I believe, but they still had this overlap. And what I did is I got some foam from like Lowe's or Home Depot for a door seal, so that I can shut this and it's nice and smooth and doesn't make any contact with the metal. Another little odd detail is, you know, they made this Model A from 28 to 31. The 28 and 29 were very similar in design, and the 30 and 31 were very similar. The one difference is the 31, this didn't have paint here. This would have been all stainless. It's just one little thing. I'm sure there's other little details, but this is unique to 31 only with that insert. Another thing, and it's really hard to see, maybe you can just see it, there's an impression right here. You just barely see that there's a, what it is, these panels were double stamped. This particular car, this panel is a double stamp panel, which means that this is a late production 31. The reason they know this is this stamping was for a 32, and so they redid this. They were running short of supplies, and so they pulled some off the assembly line for the 32 production and restamped them to fit the 31. So that kind of is one of an oddball kind of giveaway on that. They all have a fuel, or they came with a fuel shutoff out here under the hood, and it looks a little odd, but inline, as I reference it, is off. You turn it to the side, and then it puts fuel down at the carburetor. So from that point, oh, let me show you. I want to show you something else before I get too far. These seats, again, are these little jump seats. Now, it's a two-door, right? Oh, how do you get in the back? Well, you don't climb through the window. What they did, and this is exactly how they operated, the function-wise. Obviously, it didn't have this kind of mechanism, but the function is the same. These little jump seats, I made them mimic the original design. See these little posts sticking out of the floor here? Those are original. I modified these seat brackets to do the same thing, but basically, that's how you got into the back. Flip that little seat up, and that's pretty much identical to how they operated. Little unique things like the door opener. It's a pivot. You can see it. Very simple, but very functional. And this is the door lock. It slides. I don't use it very often, but that's what it does. It slides and disengages or blocks the outside handle. So with the fuel on, and I do have a battery kill switch in here, I got to turn the key on, and then if I need to, I'll pull the choke, but I'll go down here and hit the starter, and it's running. And again, it's a 3-speed manual, so reverse is up here, first, second, third, just like any normal transmission. And of course, there's a parking brake. But other than that, Very simple car. Hear that roar? Great. Alrighty then.